Howdy folks, Rob at the workshop. Just want to do a quick walk around on this before it gets picked up by the customer. This is a Holden WB utility, fairly sought after in Australia. This is obviously not original. Factory 308 V8, turbo 350 automatic transmission. This is the interesting part here. Normally from the factory they're not a dual rear axle, and this has had an aftermarket kit fitted to it. So I'm told this is a Heyman-Reese conversion, done here in Australia. Obviously not a factory option, but an aftermarket option. Not super popular. This is only the second one that I've ever seen in my whole life. So this guy's kind of fortunate to have this. This is our rated to 2.5 ton now, instead of the single normal 1 ton. So you can see we've got the factory axle at the front there, which is just on a leaf spring, and then attached to the bottom of that spring pad is half of an inverted leaf, which has a pivot point there in the center. It's not really a pivot point, well, kind of a pivot point. It doesn't really have an active, like a trunnion or anything there, but that is where it pivots. There's not a real sort of, not a proper load share. It's kind of a half load share system, but it does the job. And this thing here is going to be used to cart about 1.5 tons of water from one side of the local range to the other. I'll just give you a quick look on the inside. You can see he's got Chevy 5-slot rims on it with center caps. So in the WB series they also had the Statesman Caprice, and this has had the interior from a Caprice put in. So it's got power windows, aftermarket buckets. It's got the Caprice center console. You see it's got switches there for front and rear power windows, but obviously we only have the front. So this is going to be a bit of a work in progress for old mate. I'll show you under the bonnet. Nothing flash, just functional. There's a few oil leaks and whatnot to be sorted out on it, but they'll get sorted out as time goes. Yeah, just originally came in here for carburetor overhaul, which I took care of, and since then it kind of hasn't left. Well, it's left, but it keeps coming back for more and more work. So I've done a fair bit of rebushing the front and rear end, just to sorted out the brakes, put some new rear wheel cylinders on it, flushed the brake fluid through, put some new brake fluid in it, and also just serviced the front calipers. The slide pins weren't really doing their job properly, so the front calipers were dragging a little bit. You see it's got a crack in the front headlight there. That'll have to be changed at some stage, but as I said, work in progress. And yeah, just something a bit different even for Australia. This is like I said, it's a bit of a rarity. You don't see many of these things with the conversion on them at all. The only thing that caught me out on this is pretty straightforward, but the only thing that did catch me out on this is for some reason these shackle pins are an aftermarket shackle pin. They run the standard 1/2-inch pin through the chassis section, but then through the eye of the spring they go up to an 18 mil. I mean, why they do that I don't know, but you can't get bushers for these. I rang Heyman-Reese and they said no, we haven't seen anything on those for about 4 years. Well, they said they've changed computer systems about 4 times in the last 30-something years, 35 years since these were actually being sold, and had no information on them at all. So I had to sort of turn some original size bushers down in the lathe. But yeah, she'll come up right. Just a bit more time, a little bit of coin to throw at it, and it'll be a nice thing. But yeah, once it's got a tray on there, carting some water, that's just going to be a good workhorse for this thing, for this guy. Anyway, hope you find it interesting, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.